Coping mechanisms are synonymous with unresolved trauma. When we're holding unresolved trauma, we've got to find a way to manage, to cope, and to move through life. So what we often unconsciously do is we develop coping mechanisms that are actually helping us to deal with the sense of threat or distress or pain or loneliness that we are carrying. So these can be all kinds of things, and I write about this extensively in the book, but some of them might be engaging in unhealthy relationships, overworking, overeating or undereating, having body image issues, obsessively exercising, using substances. There are all kinds of things that we do to try and avoid being with the pain and the fear that we're experiencing. And so as we continue on our healing journey and we build a greater sense of safety inside us and capacity, resilience, the ability to be with pain or discomfort, we can learn to very intentionally and gently start to let go of these coping mechanisms one by one. So the way that we do this is to kind of, first of all, identify what are our coping mechanisms, what are the things that we're engaging with to avoid being with our stuff and processing our stuff. And when we feel we've got that capacity, we can choose to explore what is it like to go for a day or a week or longer without this thing. So for example, just say that obsessively working out is something that regulates you and stops you sitting with perhaps the tension or the stress or the fear that you're feeling. The invitation here would be to see what it's like to go without it for a day or a week or however long is that period that you're really going to feel its absence, and sit with that sense of tension through the day. And usually what happens is that we might feel a little bit anxious, a little bit overwhelmed. We might feel body bracing. We might be sweaty. We might feel a bit cranky or just, not generally peaceful or harmonic in the world. And to be able to sit with that and metabolize that with intention and not go towards another unhealthy coping mechanism is part of the healing. The second part of the healing is to actually release that sense of charge or threat energy through the body. So once you've chosen to go for that period of time, whether it's a day or a week, it's up to you. You'll figure out what feels right. What you can do is come into an intentional practice on that day, perhaps close to the end of that day, or if you're just really feeling the intensity of it, you could choose to do it right then. And we're going to sort of side lie with a pillow, curled up, with a blanket, and create a really nice cocoon for ourselves. And we're going to connect to an affirmation, which is, I'm safe in my solitude here and now. I invite past versions of myself to join me here. That old fear can leave my body peacefully. So we're basically letting ourselves know that we're safe in the present, that there's nothing to be afraid of, and that those pieces of us or parts of us that are still feeling that sense of threat from the past can actually meet you here and integrate in the present where it's safe. And so you might find during this practice that there's a lot of energy, a lot of twitching through the body. There may be a rise and release of discomfort or pain. There may be the desire to cry or to even scream. I've spent plenty of time screaming on my floor, letting it all out. And then there may just be the need to kind of cuddle up and sort of space out and look after oneself for a little while. So definitely engage in this practice when you're at a point where you've got some space, where you feel very safe and very able to be associated to the here and now. And ideally, we start with this work when we've already done quite a bit of trauma processing already and started to clear out some of those suppressed emotions. So really take time to feel into, am I ready for this? What can happen if we try this too early is that it can actually cause us to snap back into those unhealthy coping mechanisms and sort of repel away from the healing work. So really take the time to explore if this is right for you. So while this is not a practice I can guide you through in this moment, I will show you what it's like to get under the nice blanket because why not? So when you've had your day or your week, your period without your coping mechanism, you can just create a nice space and really snuggle up, cocoon yourself. Some people might even like to bring it over their head. You may like to get like a nice warm heat pack or water bottle if that feels comforting. And you just want to use that affirmation and affirm to yourself that you're safe here on your own, and that all those parts of you are welcome to join you here, and that there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. And you might find as you do that there's quite a bit of twitching through the body. It can get quite big. And I have found with this that it's often through the back of the spine and sometimes through the chest as well. So see how you go with this one. And remember, if you have lots and lots of coping mechanisms, to just go slowly one by one until it feels safe to be existing without them. And each time we remove a coping mechanism and realize, wow, I'm actually safe without this, I don't need this anymore, there's this huge freeing up that occurs and another sort of wave of power that becomes embodied.